sketch, and then I'm going to open it up for anybody that would like to speak, and then the Huifuas are also going to sing for us. And then we have a special visitor at the end. So if you'd like to say anything, you're welcome to.
Can you talk a little louder, please, Leah?
I guess, or y'all could come closer. Is this better?
Yeah.
I'll try and emote. Judith Ann Miller was born to Harriet Ann and Odell in Memphis, Tennessee on the 20th of September 1949. She had an older sister, Linda, and a younger sister, Renee. Judi was a quiet child. Linda said Judi was always reading a book. Mama's earliest memory was when she was still a baby. She couldn't talk yet, but was walking and holding her baby bottle made of glass. She was watching a show on TV, something like Howdy Doody, and Linda came in the room, changed the channel to something more mature, and lay down on the couch. Judi didn't cry. She saw Linda's head right at her eye level, grasped her bottle by the nipple, swung it as hard as her little arm could, and knocked Linda in the head. Another story she told on herself was one time when she played Scrabble with Renee, when Renee was still pretty young. Judi kept turning tiles over, pretending they were blanks. Renee didn't know any better, so of course, Judi won. She didn't want to be totally dishonest though, so she confessed after the game was over. Renee was so mad she cried and got Mama in trouble. That may have been what put a stop to Mama having qualms against being totally dishonest. The family moved a few times until they ended up in Theodore, Alabama near Mobile. Judi got her first job as a candy striper at the Mobile Infirmary when she was a teen, her first experience in the medical field. Judi was a pretty girl who didn't know what to think of boys. She had very few boyfriends in high school, but ended up getting married when she was just 17. When her first baby was born, she dressed her in all of her new outfits as if she were playing with a doll. The next day, she took Holly to the doctor because she cried every time Mama touched her. When Holly and Julie and I were little, she would take us to the park to climb silver leaf trees, to the New Orleans Zoo, where we'd watch spider monkeys in the pit below us, and to the outdoor trampoline park. There were probably a half dozen trampolines surrounded by a chain link fence. When Jeff and Candace were little, she loved watching them play, and she became a soccer and ballet mom for them. When I was little, she got us a horse, Buckwheat, who would eat cigarettes out of people's pockets, and whose best friend was our little pooch named Doobie, who could sing happy birthday. Mama won a tank full of gas once because of it. She loved her pets. If dogs go to heaven, she's surrounded by a herd of mutts right now, along with a menagerie of other animals. Cats, fish, frogs, birds. She had 40 chickens when she lived in Idaho, and they had their own room in the house.
Yes.
Mama was a survivor. When I was little, she decided that she would like to get the kind of pay that men got working offshore, so she applied to work as a mud engineer, claiming to have the required petroleum engineering degree. The company hired her and sent her to their specialized mud engineer training, where she finished top of her class, the first woman ever to have done so. She worked on the offshore oil rigs based in New Orleans for several years, 3 weeks on, 2 weeks off. Once, she caught a 15-foot mako shark by lowering a baited hook on the rig's winch cable down into the water. During her time on, my two sisters and I lived with Mimi in Mobile. Every time Mama left, I would hug and kiss her goodbye and tell Mimi, my throat hurts, because I was trying not to cry. Once when she picked us up for her weeks off, she was speeding back to New Orleans in the company car, which was identical to many in the area. She saw the flashing lights just before it was time to turn off into the neighborhood. She made a plan and had us help her implement it. She lost the cop in the maze of streets. We screeched into the driveway, jumped out of the car, and started washing it. She assigned one of us to stand in front of the license plate so he couldn't see it when he came by. He did eventually stop and ask us if we'd seen anyone speeding by, and we told the truth. No, we hadn't. Eventually, the oil field bosses figured out her secret, so she was forced to morph again. Judi held so many different jobs throughout her life, the family joked that she had done everything but drive a train. She owned a restaurant, cleaned houses, gathered intel for the government, sold cars, nannied, was a singer in New Orleans, worked painting and installing wallpaper, and ran a custom t-shirt shop called Teetotally. She even played the mouse at Chuck E. Cheese for a while. Once there was a little kid there having a birthday party. He was about 6 years old and was being a brat, going around and unplugging the machines as people played them. His mother was otherwise occupied, so Mama in her grinning mouse costume calmly walked over, put her arm around the kid and growled into his ear, "Chuck E. Cheese eats kids." He screamed and ran to tell on her, but she just continued walking around waving at everyone, so his mom didn't believe him. He stuck close to his mom the rest of the night, and the other kids got to play their games. When she was in her 30s, she was finally in a position to go back to school to become a nurse. Nursing was something that she was proud to be so good at. Doctors loved that she often caught their mistakes, and patients loved that she always was in their corner. The only downside to her being a nurse was that it made her a rotten patient. Sometimes circumstances out of her control left Judi with heartache. She was able to rectify one such wrong about 15 years ago when she was reunited with her daughter, Sandy, and began making memories with her. Mama took us on many a good long road trip, moved on a whim dozens of times, and traveled all over the world. One trip to Utah, though, changed her life. When her husband was working in Salt Lake, she flew to see him, and they went to Temple Square. She was pregnant with Candace and got tired, so they sat down to watch the film offered there. She put in a request to know more, and we later got to meet Reuben and Clara Dodge, who became our angels. In 1983, we were baptized into the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and had the Dodges' examples and love for the rest of their long lives. Mama had a healthy sense of vengeance. Nothing made her madder than not being able to give someone their just desserts. When we were dropping Candace off at the airport to go to boot camp, we were waiting in line at the deli when a man bypassed the line with his coffee and went to the side of the counter to pay. Judi didn't say anything to him, but as he turned to leave, she shoved Luke's stroller forward and tripped him. He stumbled and almost fell on his face, and we enjoyed our sandwiches with sweet revenge sauce. Another time, a woman stole her parking spot at a grocery store, then looked at her and laughed. Judi didn't turn to her friend Karma for retribution, though. She parked, secretly followed the woman around the store, waited until she had squeezed every piece of fruit, and compared every price. Then when the woman's back was turned, Judi took her basket, took it through the store and filled it with things like mac and cheese and corn dogs, then abandoned it. She made sure to stick around long enough to see the woman being escorted through the store searching for her precious booty. When Mama wasn't working on exacting revenge, she was probably playing a mean game of Scrabble, digging a hole for a koi pond, making crafts to sell, decorating her house, cooking something delectable, or doing a good deed. She also may have been painting a wall, but never completely because she'd change her mind halfway through. She was a nomad, a jokester, and a believer in fairy tales. I'm sure she got a kick out of passing away on April Fool's Day. She was a saint and a sinner. She was strong and strong-willed. She was a guitarist and singer, a storyteller and poet. She loved laughing with her children and grandbabies, and didn't mind doling out zingers. Judi was intelligent and inventive, naive and childlike. She loved Christmas and the 4th of July. She loved naughty little kids and had perfect handwriting. We always joked that she would be late to her own funeral, and COVID made it come true. Because of the strokes that took her mobility, we are relieved for Mama's release. We know she was welcomed by many souls of loved ones. Because she was always moving, we realized she would not be content to be stuck in one place. So her ashes are being scattered in the waters off the Gulf Coast, where she spent many happy years of her life. I'm sure she's happy to be the reason for one last party with her family and friends. Thank you for being important to her and for being here to celebrate her life. Now, anybody that would like to is welcome to share. Luke, would you like to read from my niece who lives in Australia now sent us something that she would like to have read.
Okay. All right. From Shelby. My Nana was an extraordinary and strong woman. Because of circumstances out of mine and her control, I only knew her for the first 6 years of my life, though we were lucky enough to reconnect when I was older. She took a piece of my heart with her when she passed on. I always hoped to come and visit her from Australia, but God decided He needed her more than I did. She was there the moment I was born, and she helped take care of me when my mother couldn't. I remember one of her favorite memories of me as a child was when I ran out of the house, and when she told me to come back, I said, "Come and get me!" She thought that was the funniest thing. I remember when I couldn't sleep, I'd come downstairs to see her in the night, and she'd let me drink Diet Coke and watch TV with her. I remember the last time I saw her in person, she was upset because my mother was taking us away, but she still put on a brave face. She gave me a wooden carousel and told me not to forget her, and to this day, I always buy carousels. It's become my little connection to her. There's still so much about her I need to learn, but I do know that she made me feel safe and loved unconditionally. I'll always mourn the time that we lost together, but I hope she knows I always loved her through the distance and time. I hope she was proud of who I've become and watches over me and my daughter from heaven. I'll make sure my daughter knows exactly how amazingly strong-willed and resilient her Nana was, and how much she loved her children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren. I will forever miss my Nana's hugs and beautiful smile. Her spirit and memory live on in us, and in the great-grandchildren she already has and will have in the future. I love you, Nana. And then for me, I guess I'd just say that I love her, and I'm gonna miss her, but I know that because of God's plan for us, we'll be able to be with her again, and that families can really be forever.